I'm not going to call that person at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I do call as soon as possible and let you know that I do federal workers' comp. I make sure I tell the patient, like yourself, that I do because so many people, it turns out they don't do it. And then the patient gets so frustrated. So the first thing I say to them is, when you come to the office, you're going to see all of our pictures, all of our videos, all of our signs and pens and cups and everything that shows that we do federal workers comp. So when people come here, they're so happy because they found the right place. Tell me about emotionally, even before we get to your injury, tell me emotionally, how were you feeling at the beginning going through this when you're injured and you can't find a doctor to treat you?
Yeah, it's really frustrated because, first of all, nobody at the post office tell me the right way.
Good morning, Vivian.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm great. Thanks for coming in for our podcast. I wanted to talk to you about what brought you to our office. Okay. You've been treating with us since 2023.
Yes, correct.
And you've been treating for a couple different injuries.
Yes.
Tell us I like to tell everyone, how did you find us?
Online.
Okay.
I put it on federal workers' compensation. And the first information is you guys.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, great. There's a website out there, federal, OWCP, yes, OWCPmed.org or something. But that's the website that usually the supervisors direct you to when a person is injured, when usually they tell you nothing. But if they do tell you anything, they tell you about this website, OWCP, MED, something, and it's terrible because it's made up of doctors who don't do federal workers' comp.
No.
It's made up of doctors who have attempted to bill the insurance company for a patient that they saw, not knowing that they didn't know how to do federal workers' comp, but they billed it because this patient walked into their office. It was a federal workers' comp injury, and whether it be an urgent care center or a hospital or a doctor's office or a physical therapist, chiropractor, orthopedic doctor, primary care doctor, they tried to bill federal workers' comp. It didn't work because they didn't do the paperwork properly, but the doctor's office gets populated onto this website. So this website that they tell you to go to is full of all these doctors that don't even do federal workers' comp. So I'm so glad that you found me, because sometimes people will go to that website, they'll click on the first name, they'll call, and they say, no, we don't do federal workers' comp. Then they click on the second name, and they call, and the doctor's office answers the phone and say, we don't do federal work.
That's true.
And then the patient just stops calling because they assume that all of the people on that list don't do federal workers' comp. But we do. And we do it successfully. So I'm so glad that you did find us on the internet. So you found us on the internet. Your email went right to my inbox, and then I called you
right
personally.
Away. Less than 30 minutes. You send me a message first, and then you call me.
If I'm in front of my computer, which is always, if I'm in front of my computer or on my telephone, and I get that email, whether it be on the weekend, sometimes I get them at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to call that person at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I do call as soon as possible and let you know that I do federal workers' comp. I make sure I tell the patient, like yourself, that I do because so many people, it turns out they don't do it. And then the patient gets so frustrated. So the first thing I say to them is, when you come to the office, you're going to see all of our pictures, all of our videos, all of our signs and pens and cups and everything that shows that we do federal workers' comp. So when people come here, they're so happy because they found the right place. Tell me about emotionally, even before we get to your injury, tell me emotionally, how were you feeling at the beginning going through this when you're injured and you can't find a doctor to treat you?
Yeah, it's really frustrated because, first of all, nobody at the post office tell me the right way. Nobody tell me anything. I just find out by myself. And then after I find out by myself, because they know I found a good doctor, they start to do wrong stuff. And I keep fighting, and they accept my case.
So was your case accepted before you started here, or did we get it accepted?
You guys get accepted.
Okay, and then we put you behind the great big caricatures
Yes.
and we took the picture for the website. It's federal workers' comp is definitely a specialty. And to get your case, and it doesn't matter if you fell down right in front of your supervisor. You certainly hurt yourself at work, but whether you're involved in a car crash working for the post office or you fell down a flight of stairs directly in front of your supervisor and they're the one that put you into a chair and got you an ice pack, it's amazing how they don't know anything once paperwork has to be filled out. They just I don't know why, but they just don't do anything to help. You'd think that they would. You think that you give your life working for the post office or some other federal government job, and you give your life for them, and you're working hard, and then you hurt yourself. You know what? Get treatment. And then you're back to work, so they don't have to hire more people. And you can work, and we try our best to have people working while they're coming for treatment. We don't want you to be out of work. We don't want to be we don't want them to feel that we're part of the problem. We want you working. Now we understand that when you have an injury, a lot of times they don't give you a job less than the job that you were doing. So when we give you when the nurse practitioner gives you restrictions of you can't do this for more than 2 hours, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, instead of putting you in a different position, they just send you home.
Yes.
And they feel, you know what, we have other people in those jobs. This was your job. This is what we hired you for. And if you can't do it, go home. And we don't want that to happen. We try our best to give you minimal restrictions, at least so you're not re-injuring yourself at work. Because we know from the past, we know those restrictions are oftentimes enough for them to just send you home. But that's not our fault. We want you working. But unfortunately, at the post office,
they take that decision.
They just send you home. And we leave it on them. We don't ever write a letter that says, Vivian shouldn't be working. We just write a letter with your restrictions. And we don't make those restrictions too much. We make them honest restrictions. We really want you working because that's how you know that you're definitely going to get paid on Friday when you're working. But it's up to them, and they then, unfortunately, send you out of work. But you found us, you got us on the internet, we got you in, we got your case approved, because that's what we do. And now when you get your case approved, now all your treatment is paid for, your transportation expenses. Where do you drive from?
Deltona.
So that's an hour and a half away?
Correct.
Okay, not around the corner.
Yeah.
And so hour and a half in either direction, so 3 hours every time you come here. That's a lot. That's a lot of time out of your day. That's a lot of gas expense. But you fill out the form maybe every month and you get your transportation reimbursed back to you. That's a great thing. That federal workers' comp, as long as the case is approved, they pay for all the stuff that you need. So yes, it's a pain in the butt navigating through.
Yes.
But if you're going to a place that knows how to navigate through the paperwork, then it's not that bad. And I say to patients all the time when I first meet them on the internet, or maybe they're referred from a coworker, and they are so frustrated. They've been going through months or maybe even years.
Yes.
And they're so frustrated. And I say to them, your frustration ends here. No more frustration, because we know how to do it. Just get here. First, meet with our case managers, because they take all your information over the phone. Then you meet with our nurse practitioner, and your frustration ends now, because we know how to do it. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, that's impossible. But no,
it's
possible. And your frustration ends when you get here. I think that should be the new tagline on our front door. Your frustration ends here. We're going to put that on our pens and on our cups. So we saw you for your first injury.
Yes.
But then I remember that you were injured again.
Yes.
So tell us about your second injury.
My second injury is I fell in my knees, and again, I injured my hip, so my right knee, but it's magical, because when that happened, they give it to me, the paper for federal workers' compensation.
Okay.
Because they know I'm already have one case. Magically, is a paper in my hands. They give it to me, a paper, for fill it out.
They gave you the CA1.
Yes.
Did they also give you the CA16? Because that's another magical piece of paper that only a person who fills out a CA1 can also fill out a CA16. And what a CA16 is, it's 60 days, so 2 months of medical care immediately, no questions asked. You don't have to wait for your case to be approved or anything like that. You're automatically approved by filling out that CA16, but you have to fill it out within 7 days. of
No,
the injury.
they never tell
and
me.
they don't tell you. But it doesn't matter for you as much because your case was approved and everything is paid for anyway.
Yeah.
But for a large amount of people that injure themselves and they have to navigate through the process, maybe they're not our patients and they have to navigate through the process. But now they're having to use their health insurance because no doctors will see them because they don't have an open claim. They didn't get their claim accepted. But when you injure yourself on one occasion and you fill out the CA1, you also should fill out what's called a CA16, which they usually don't tell you about. The CA16, and that is a very simple form to fill out. You have to fill it out within 7 days of the injury, but that gives you 60 days of medical bills, of medical care, no questions asked. Even if your case never becomes approved, that gets paid for. So your trip to the emergency room or urgent care center or physical therapy or orthopedic or MRIs or all the other things that you're getting, all that stuff is paid for. Even if your case never gets approved because you didn't go to the right doctors, still you're able to get those 60 days of care,
Yeah.
which is pretty important. So now we're treating you also in addition to treating you for your first injury, we're also treating you now for your knee injury.
Yes.
And how's the treatment going in the office?
Really good.
Everyone's taking good
Oh,
care of you?
yes. Perfect.
Great. And how long do your visits last for? Hour and a half to 2 hours?
Yes.
Every time that you're here?
Oh, yes. Yes.
We value our patients. We respect our patients. And to travel the distance that you're traveling to come here, we respect the time that you're spending to come here. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to treat you for 15 or 20 minutes like other centers and are treated as a social security number. We want to give you the treatment that you need and the treatment that you deserve. So the treatment with the nurse practitioner, the physical therapy, the massage therapy, everything that you have here is because we want to treat that injury. And to treat you for 15 or 20 minutes is not enough treatment.
No.
And especially when you're driving an hour and a half
Yes.
in one direction to come here. So we make sure that your visit when you come here is worth it. That you're saying to yourself, you know what, I'm driving an hour and a half, but my treatment is worth it. And that's why we treat our patients as long as we do, because you have an injury and it needs treatment. And we make sure that we open up our schedule. And by doing that, by doing that, we can't see 1 million patients per day. We can't see 50 patients per day. We can't see 30 patients per day. We have to see less patients per day because we are treating you for the amount of time that we're treating you. But that's what we want to do. We do that because we want every patient to understand and respect that we are here for you, not just to see as many people as possible in a day and treat everyone like a social security number. We want to make sure that you're getting the care that you need.
Yeah, and I never have a appointment with you guys in a rush. I always have, you guys have all the time with me, the best time, the best treatment.
Great.
And I'm glad I'm fine, you guys.
And what time do you normally come here?
I like to be early, but most of the time, 9 or 11.
Okay, because as we open up early,
Yes.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're here by 7 o'clock in the morning because when you have patients that cancel their appointments, when you have 2-hour blocks for the patients and they cancel their appointments, I would ask them, hey, why are you canceling? This isn't a maybe appointment. This is a real appointment. And I know things happened, illness, things like that. But if you just couldn't make it, it's not a good enough answer. So when patients used to say to me, Dr. Dorfman, my supervisor won't let me leave. Your appointment here isn't based on your supervisor allowing you to leave. What time can you be here where you're going to make your appointment? And patients would say, I know you open up at 9, but I can be there at 8. And I'll say, great, let me speak to my staff. My physical therapist, my massage therapist, 8 o'clock is fine for them. So now we solve a problem. So now instead of having patients that cancel appointments, now you're having patients that come in and never cancel their appointment because they're coming in at a time that works for them. And that's what happens in a lot of doctors' offices, maybe all doctors' offices, is your appointment time is based on what time can they see you. What time can I fit you into my schedule? And that's not the way it should be. It should be what time can the patient come in where the patient is fitting us into their schedule and they're not going to miss their visits. And when you ask a patient, tell me about your day. Tell me what time would be good for you to come in here where you're not going to have to cancel because your supervisor wouldn't let you come in,
Yes.
or maybe you have one car in your household and you're sharing your car with several people. And now we're open up at 7 o'clock in the morning. So we open up sometimes at 7 o'clock in the morning because there's patients that say, hey, I can be here at 7. I speak to my staff who loves working here.
And it's work with us.
And that doesn't make our day less. That doesn't mean that we start at 7 and quit at 3 or 4. We're still here till 6, but we just open up early because we like to solve problems. And when a patient is having a problem, coming in at a particular time, but coming in at an early time will solve that problem, then that's what we do. That's what we do. I'm glad that you're enjoying your care here. I'm looking forward to doing another podcast with you in the future when you're feeling 100% better. So then you can say, remember when I was here and I was having pain? Now I'm not in pain anymore. So I'm looking forward to do that next podcast when you have no pain.
Yes,
So, all right. It was great
absolutely.
to see you today. All
Great
right.
to
Enjoy
see
the
you.
rest of your day.
Thank you. Same to you.